All right, we are live and we are ready for week 3 of What Did Prince Do This Week? We are going to wait until some folks join us to really get into it. But while we're waiting for folks to join us, we are going to go over some of the housekeeping stuff that we have to do. I'm going to get tired of saying this, but you never know when someone might watch an episode. So the state of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're going week to week, and that means Sunday to Saturday of 1983, not date to date. If that doesn't make any sense to you, that's okay. We're going week to week from Sunday to Saturday of 1983. And for a very detailed schedule of which pages we're reading every week, you can go to the bit.ly link, which is Prince Book Club, or you can go to bookclub.polishsolid.com. Hello, Eldebara. It's so great to have you here. And I got to go back to show that I am showing Eldebara's amazing gift. He is giving me the gift of gifts. And
Hilarious.
So Eldebara posted this on Twitter this week, and I just died laughing, and I just had to show it. And Eldebara, it's saying Michael Dean, one of my favorite hashtags of all time, working like a job.
Yeah, and let me say in my Morris Day voice to everyone, good morning. Good morning. We got a little book and dance. That is, if you can read. What's up?
Yes. And so we have some of our favorites in here. Oh, Kim is here this week. Howdy, Kim. It's so great to see you here. We got Audra in the house. Are you going to the Love to the Nines? I'm sure you are, Audra, so let me know. Arlene is in the house, and my alliterative friend, Blade Brown. Top of the morning to you as well. The one and the only, Edgar Cruz, is in the house. We got Becky in the house. So many amazing people. Man Ray, Tanja, Roseanne. Yes, Kim is here. We are super excited. Right. And we got Lee Christian, who will be bringing us probably with some audio facts. We got TP in the house. And of course, Audra is going. You're going to have to report back to us how Love to the Nines are. It is such a pleasure, Eldebar, for all of your doodles. You just are the gift that keeps on giving gifts. So as long as you send them, I am going to use them because I think they are incredible and they really make my day. So thank you so much for sharing them with us. So if you got here a little bit late, I've just kind of been going through some of the housekeeping stuff. I'm going to skip through those slides because I've already talked about them. And yes, these are always archived on my YouTube channel, which is YouTube.com/PolishSolid. Please subscribe, like, and help spread the word, not for me, but because of the Prince knowledge that we're actually trying to drop and impart on the newbies, as well as some of the old timers, as well as some of the people who weren't there in real time. Everybody. And everybody. How many bodies? Everybody. As Corey Henry would say, everybody. So that's what we're doing today. All right. So in addition to, let's see, again, we're working with the expanded edition of Duane's book. Let me get a solo. Hold on. Let me find my mouse on Michael Dean there with the expanded edition.
I give it to you all different sides. I give you the kind of hood look. I can give you the. Hold on. Wait a minute. I ain't ready.
You went on mute. Don't make sure you're not. This is going to be a real surprise. So while we're waiting on Michael Dean, we got C. Lee in the house, who's just got finished sweeping and mopping the floors, just like Morris Day did in the opening scene of Purple Rain. And we got I think you're still muted. Let me see if I can unmute you. It says your mic is not connected. And then, we got Love, Michael Dean. We also got a spokesmodel, Michael Dean. And while we're waiting there, We're gonna start this off early today.
That's the offering right there. Am I right? They always play. Y'all reached in y'all pocket when I did it, didn't you? And they come right out of preaching. That's how they get you to give. They come right out of preaching and go right into that. God is good. God is great. Ah. Reach in your pocket to give me all your money, please.
All right. So while we're trying to work out our audio issues, I'm going to go back to some of our housekeeping stuff and prints by numbers, which is what I'm talking about usually. Yeah, see, Michael Dean, you might have to maybe go back out of StreamYard and come back in. So what did Prince do this week? And if you're reading the book, and in the book, let me switch here so you can see me a little bit bigger. It's actually labeled as, I had a bookmark, but it fell out. Essentially in the book, it says early to mid-January 1983, which is basically an estimate. And so Duane really doesn't write about week 3 and week 4 specifically. He has in parentheses that it's an estimate. And I do want to read a little disclaimer here that he has at the end of the chapter, if I can find it. I have so much stuff highlighted. Here we go. So here we go. This is on page 20. It says, it is possible that this song was already recorded in mid-November 1982. Jill Jones remembers that after a concert in Louisiana, she and Prince traveled home to Minneapolis and worked on this in his home studio. That session could have either followed a performance in New Orleans, Louisiana on November 14th, 1982, or after his show on January 3rd, 1983 in Lake Charles, Louisiana. So, but in the book, he has it currently as somewhere within early mid to January of 1983, there is basic tracking and overdubs of Wonderful Ass, which is the track that we will be talking about today. And again, early to mid-January 1983, at his Kiowa, if I'm saying that correctly, I'm probably not because I'm Southern and I bastardize words all the time. So we got Kiara Trail home, and with Wonderful Ass, we got basic tracking and overdubs. And for those of you who know, you know, it was an unreleased track until we got it with the Purple Rain Deluxe Expanded Edition, which came out in 2017. And it was only released on CD in terms of the expanded edition. You can get, and I love the packaging that they did for this in terms of the silver foil. I'm a sucker for silver foil. So I do like this. I didn't like this CD set at the time because this, you know, sometimes the CD will fall out on this side. I can't show you guys if you pick it up too quick. So that's one thing I did not like about this particular box, CD box in terms of its construction. And so again, roughly week 3 to 4, we got Wonderful Ass, basic tracking and overdubs. And back in, and this was actually released in June of 2017. And then back in roughly June 25th of 2017, Jill Jones wrote this on Twitter. Wonderful Ass was written originally on the 1999 tour and gifted to Vanity. She played it nonstop before the shows during that time. And then she actually posted a few days later on Facebook on July 1st of 2017, the original manuscript, basically Prince's handwritten lyrics for Wonderful Ass, courtesy of Matu Batone. And in this Facebook posting, she said that half of it is her writing. And I'm going to show you those lyrics and some of the script, particularly the text down below. And she said that, you know, they were obviously trying to find words that rhymed. So these are the lyrics that Matu shared with Jill. And so I don't think it was, so Edgar asked this question, was it intended for vanity? I don't think it was intended for vanity. This is the one that the title is about. So again, if you go back to what Jill wrote, it was written originally and gifted to vanity, meaning like, I think it was a gift to her, not necessarily for her to sing on an album or what have you. And to be honest, if you go to page, hold on one second. If you go to page, give me 1 second. The beginning of this, which is, I hate my bookmark slipped out. Apologize for that. Let me see if I can find something else. The quote at the top from Susan Rogers says that Prince told me himself that that was written for vanity. And my interpretation is that he wrote it as a gift for vanity, not necessarily as a song for Vanity 6. But I could be totally wrong. I mean, just based off of what Jill said, it sounded like it was just a gift to Vanity or Denise Matthews, the person, not necessarily for Vanity 6. That's my interpretation. I'm sticking with it until we get something different. And then, you know, what's really great about these lyrics, and if you've seen any of Prince's handwritten lyrics, is how playful he is. He had a lot of doodles when he wrote his lyrics. He also had a lot of revisioning and editing in his work, which is actually really great to see. And at the bottom of these lyrics, you'll see Joe's handwriting, where they were trying to figure out words that actually rhymed. And then there was a second page that, you know, had more words that rhymed, and some of them that, you know, ended up on the song or educate, tolerate, negotiate, communicate, litigate. And then it goes on and on and on and on. And what this does for me, we're going to take a bit of a music history break because of this song. So, also known as a polysyllabic tangent. And I'm going to tell you over the course of these many years we'll be together, because this guy, I said it was going to be 1 year, but it's actually probably going to be more like 6 years in a row, essentially. So before we go, we're going to go back since Michael Dean, can you say something to us? Are you back?
Hold on.
Okay, hold on. All right. So I want to talk about this album here, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. It is INXS's Kick. And I want to show you the album cover because it's one of my favorites, because it's a gatefold. And you can basically see the entire album here.
All right, I can hear you.
But I feel like I'm echoing through you, though. When I can hear myself echoing through your mic, as I didn't before. Sometimes, not all the time. But we'll see. And then this is actually inside of the album cover. You can see it says Kick all the way through. It's like incredible. This is here. And for me, if you know the song Meditate, every time I personally listen to Wonderful Ass, I actually think about INXS's Meditate. 1, it's my favorite INXS song. 2, they actually do a lot of the rhyming. 3, I wonder, I mean, I know this is just me speculating, and this is probably not true, but I'm curious, like, did Michael Hutchins or a member of INXS, were they a Prince fan? Were they trading tapes? Did they get a copy of Wonderful Ass, you know, because it was floating around in the ether? And another thing about this particular song is if you haven't seen the video for Mediate, it's actually one of my favorite videos of all time. And it is an homage to Bob Dylan, which is a Prince. I mean, we're doing like that 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon. So there's 5 degrees of Prince because, you know, Bob Dylan is from Minnesota. Prince is from Minnesota. There you go. So if you need a connection. And then if you need another connection, in the Mediate video, Michael Hutchins holds up 8. And 8 makes me think of Madhouse 8 because everything connects to Prince for me. And then on top of that, again, just for some music history for our newbies out there, INXS basically took the idea of their Mediate video from Bob Dylan's video that was filmed in 1964, but it wasn't released until 1967's Don't Look Back, which is a documentary that D.A. Pennebaker did for Bob Dylan's first tour through London, England. This particular song is off the album Bringing It All Back Home from Bob Dylan. So I want to go back a little bit just because Michael Dean is with us now and just let him know what I discussed. So we talked about, you know, early to mid-January, Wonderful Ass, Kiowa Trail Home, and then Jill Jones writing Wonderful Ass was written originally on the 1999 tour and Gifted to Vanity. She played it nonstop before the shows during that time. And then she came back on Facebook and said that her handwriting is also on the lyrics, on the handwritten lyrics, because they were trying to figure out, meaning Prince and her were trying to figure out words that could rhyme. So if you actually look at the lyrics, you'll see some of Jill's handwriting at the bottom. And then this was the second page where they were trying to figure out words that rhymed. And then I was just telling them that every time that I hear Wonderful, I mean, without fail, every time I listen to Wonderful Ass, I have to put on Mediate from INXS just because I hear that connection every single time. And then I just think the video is brilliant just because we've been talking. I think it's important for us to not just talk about Prince because Prince you know, lived in a context of an entire musical universe. So yeah. All right. And so back to our regularly scheduled program.
And I apologize about that. I was doing doing too much, knocking out wires and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully I sound okay. But
yeah, you sound great. You are back. You look good. You're lit well. I mean, you have the best.
Okay. Oh, you mean lit like that?
Yes, you are.
Stop playing. Did you talk about when you were mentioning this? Did you mention in the messier side of what was in the pages of this book that Jill Jones?
We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me
give me 1 second. We'll get there because this is just the Prince by. Yeah, this is just the Prince by number stuff, and then we're going to really dive into the book, so I can stop doing the. Actually, El Dabara is already kicking that off. Interesting living arrangements in the Kiowa Trail house. We're going to get there. All right. So for 3 to 4 weeks, so basically, since we've been talking from the beginning of the year, we've had 2 live shows total from Prince for the 1999 tour and roughly 6 studio visits. And that asterisk is for the roughly. Okay. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can get into the chapter. All right. So let's see what Celie is talking about. So Celie says, Prince's handwritten lyrics of various songs, which always includes edits, show that Prince was thinking seriously about lyricism and messaging and how lyrics supported the narrative he presented. Love that, Celie. Thank you so much for that, especially as an editor. Editing is so very important. And then, I mean, that does show that Prince wasn't just throwing stuff out there, that he was thinking thoughtfully about the messages and the words that he was gifting us with. So, Michael Dean, take it away. What you want to talk about this week about Wonderful Ass?
Well, first of all, I said, love that song. You know, when you first hear that was one of those songs where, of course, it was unreleased back in the day, and you heard it, and I was just like, I don't understand how this didn't come out. Like, this sound like classic, somebody says Prince early on, that was like, when I heard that, that's what I was like, yeah, this is, you look up Prince in the dictionary, and that song, if it was audio version, he would play that. Like, that was just everything about Prince. So I always thought the song was just dope. It's classic in terms of what he's talking about. Only Prince would have probably gotten away with actually having that being played, like maybe on the radio, possibly. I don't know how they would have did it, but it's not innocence, but it's just like an honesty about, like, that's just that kind of guy that he is, and it's a funny song, I think, too. I think in the book they even mentioned, like, toward the end, he kind of jumps into that Morris voice for a second. He's like, I like that ass. And I'm like, you know what? That's why I like Prince, man. As much as, he seemed very serious and stuff, he could have his baby guy back. Like, it's still, brothers, I'm still going to talk about what we're going to talk about. And I'm not mad at him. So as my man was saying about the lyrics are important, you better believe it. We showing love to sisters out here. So in a funny sort of way, but I think the song is brilliant. I think it's a jam. I don't know. Has he ever done that song live? Is there a live? Even a rehearsal or something? That's what I have never heard of.
I don't know. I mean, according to Prince Vault, which is my Bible, on my Prince Bible, there is not believed to have been. I don't think it's been performed live. But if someone knows, let us know, because we want to know, and we can get this corrected. But I don't think it's ever been performed live.
And then the other thing that was brought up in the chat as well, the living arrangements. Again, I'll keep saying, as much as I love these books, they're essential. Somebody needs to have, it might be a smaller book. It could be a small little black purple book, but it'd be like the Paisley, Rogers Book of Game. Because you can have Jill Jones and Vanity living in your house.
Yes.
Ain't nobody bad like him. I mean, man, I don't know what kind of gymnastics his tongue game. It pause. I'm talking about in terms like him speaking or like being able to holler at people. He must be very convincing and slick and smooth, because that's a lot. And then writing songs about other girls' ass and got the other girls singing. Salute to Jill Jones. Man, that's Dun, 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 dun. This is the player of the year. Like, I salute Prince, man. But that's just what I wanted to add to that part of the conversation.
All right, I think that was for the fellas. So, because for me,
and the newbies.
I mean, for me, I really don't care to get in that kind of stuff, only because for me, it's all about the music and.
We're just putting in context and the motivations behind it.
Yeah. But as a female, obviously, I feel some kind of way because I have allegiance towards both Vanity and Jill Jones. I have a lot of respect for them, and I just can't imagine that was a positive situation to be in. I could be wrong, but I don't know. So let's get back to the song. So.
Like this nigga.
It's okay.
Hilarious.
No, but I appreciate you, Michael Dean. And, and one of the reasons why I really love that you're doing this with me is that I know that you're going to talk about stuff that I would never talk about. Yeah, and I really think it's really important that there are different perspectives. And
I'm saying it with respect, but I'm just, it's in the book. I mean, it's in the book. So I'm not going to skip pages.
It is in the book. Yeah. So this is pretty funny. And then Rhonda Nicole says, well, he does refer to himself as a player of the year. And then I love Blake Brown's comment, can't have that today. And somebody would have tore that studio up once he left town.
Hilarious. Yeah, in the cloud social media world today,
No, it wouldn't have worked out.
Yes.
But see, Audra is saying that we're a perfect duo, Michael Dean. See, you're my yin to my whatever, yin to my yang. And then
Wow.
this is really funny.
Hilarious. Salute to Left Eye, though.
Yes, salute to Left Eye. We love her. All right, so let's talk about some of the stuff that comes up in the book. Actually, even though this is kind of like a brief chapter, there's actually a lot of stuff going on in this little part. And I don't know if we're going to be able to talk about everything, because what we're going to do next week is I actually am going to see if I can share my screen one more time and kind of remind. I'm kind of doing this in the middle here. Let me see. Stop sharing. Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to regain my composure from all the smoke. Yeah. So here's our schedule, and you should be up to page 24. And if you're not up to page 24, guess what? You can get up to page 24 by next week, because there are no pages assigned for next week, but we will still be meeting, because we're going to do a recap of essentially January of 1983. And Duane touches on so much within just this mid to late January 1983 that we're not going to be able to get to everything with this particular session. So where do you want to start off in terms of let's back this up with receipts, because Michael Dean is correct. If you go to page 19 and you start off with the paragraph, Prince and Vanity were going through a tough time, fluctuating between staying a couple and seeing others. At the time, Vanity and Jill Jones were both living in Prince's home. This is from the book. We all kind of lived together for a little brief moment, trying to be harmonious, recalls singer Jill Jones, who sang background vocals on this track, as well as uncredited background vocals for Vanity 6 during the tour. And this is Jill speaking. It didn't really go so well, period. All right.
Well, who?
So if you go down a little bit further on the same page, 19, Duane writes, Jones and Prince worked on the song together in Prince's studio, with both of them adding to the list of rhyming words on the lyric sheet, which is backed up by what Jill said on Facebook and Twitter. It's not and this is Jill's words, it's not a novel idea to rhyme a bunch of words. We were sitting there and coming up with rhymes. My sensibilities you aggravate, which is one of the lyrics, because on one hand, I'm thinking it's about Vanity's butt, and she does aggravate you. So there was a little bit of that. And also we all live together. So I think I could have commented about her wonderful ass too. And it has laughs in parentheses. But then he goes on to write, but there was only one inspiration for wonderful ass and the various tracks. But was there only one inspiration for wonderful ass and the various tracks Prince wrote over the years? Jill Jones gives her thoughts on that. And this is Jill. I'm going to read this whole paragraph because I think it's important. So Jill says, I don't think Prince was that literal in his songwriting. I think it's a bit of an insult to any creative person or a writer to think that inspiration is that linear. I think that we do get inspired by all sorts of stuff. Vanity took it, she owned it, she played it and announced that this song belonged to her. But I also don't think that that's how you write songs. And I think that there could have been many things that could have inspired him. We went to see so many movies, Francis, all these other things, Flashdance. These are movies, Francis and Flashdance. There were so many things that play into what works in decision making. So I think that Jill actually makes a really good point. Because I can't believe I'm about to say this, Michael Dean, you're corrupting me. But Prince, being the player that he is, could have gifted it to Vanity, saying it was for her, but it could have been inspired by someone else. Like, who knows?
Who knows? Prince. That's this kid down.
Yeah.
He's a man.
Yes, he is.
These are young. And we're talking about young people also at this time. But everything too. The other thing, and I don't know if we skipped over it, but just the fact that he was able to record this at home, and like he's not a superstar necessarily, but he's successful enough that he can have multiple homes. I think they said it was his third home or something, but that it can create and construct a studio in the house. When we're talking back in the early 80s, that's a big deal to be able to like, yo, you got a full-on studio in your crib. So I just salute him that this is the mini Paisley Park where he was never gonna stop doing what he was doing. He wasn't gonna wait. Yo, we'll make it at the house, and we're gonna be making songs at the house. So I just wanted to make sure that point was laid out because they talk about this in the book too. Like,
well, that's my favorite part. So my favorite part of this chapter, and I don't know why I hear myself echoing through you, just so you know. I don't know if anybody else does out there. Maybe it's just me. But in the chat, we got El DeBarra. Shout out to Don Batts for putting together a creative space like that in a suburban house. So at the beginning of this chapter, page 18, I'm going to read about three to four paragraphs, and I'm going to read them because I think they're very, very important. Actually, probably the most important thing that we've read since we've started so far. So when Prince wasn't recording at Sunset Sound, he was working from home in Chanhassen, Minnesota. This was the third home Prince had set up like a recording studio. When Prince moved from a rented house on the north arm of Lake Minnetonka in Orono, Minnesota to this house, he had Don Batts set up everything in a finished family room in the basement. He had big Westlake monitors mounted up on the wall. Mac Fink described to author Jake Brown. Jake Brown actually has another book. It also has studio in the title. I can't remember the exact title. If somebody in the chat can give me the exact title of the Jake Brown book, I'll put it up because it's actually a really great book with some other interviews with a lot of the engineers and in the studio. So, and there was an isolation room. So he'd had some construction done on that particular home studio to make it more viable as an acoustic engineered room. He had a drum set in every keyboard of the day, the Oberheim and the Omni, which the Omni was a very integral keyboard used on 1999. He didn't use it much on Purple Rain, but was really using the Oberheims quite a bit on the Purple Rain album. The two rooms, one for the control room and one for overdubs, were small, but Prince got huge results from the setup. Huge. I can't say huge results from the setup. In May of the previous year, during the first night, the studio was listen to this. In May of the previous year, during the first night the studio was operational, Prince recorded the bulk of Little Red Corvette, which is insane to think about. That one sentence, right? In many ways, music can be seen as Prince's primary language, and it is a bond that he shared with those around him. And this is a quote from Prince: "Musicians, when they really communicate, don't have to talk, they just play." That is a quote from Prince himself. So that's how we start off this particular chapter or sub-chapter, however you want to call it, early, mid-January 1983 estimate.
And just also the power of a young person like that investing back into himself that early on, like, yo, I got my bread up, I could blow it on whatever, but I'm gonna spend it on, we're gonna make the studio right here, we're gonna stay getting busy. I love that. I love that about Prince.
So let's see Lee's talking about. Also, if you replace the keys with guitars, wouldn't Let's Pretend We're Married fall under rockabilly as well? I don't think you're reaching, actually. During this period of time, Prince was really into rockabilly. You got your Gotta Stop Messing About, you got your Horny Toad. I mean, there's like so many rockabilly, even Delirious to a certain extent. Is rockabilly, and then definitely Let's Pretend You're Married as well. Can someone give me that Jake Brown book title? Is that possible? If not, I'll look it up. I can't remember off the top of my head. So I wonder about this. Any musicians in the house of how difficult it was to like work with the Oberheim compared to the Omni?
The book is called Prince in the Studio.
Okay, Prince in the Studio. So that's another book.
Exclusive studio stories behind the hits, 1977 through 1994. I had never heard of this.
Oh, it's an excellent book. And what's the year on that? Does it say what year
that it came out?
The book.
12/28. Well, this is the audiobook. It says 2021.
Oh no, it's older than that.
It's older than that.
Yeah. All right, we'll try to get a date on that for you guys. So yeah, Lee, I got an amen on that from Lee Christian. He says that studio book is a great book.
Okay.
And D, thank you, D. D saying it might be May 1st of 2011. That sounds about right, actually. We got a second one from Annie Ward. Very thank you for that. And then we got Ron and Nicole saying, I've never used an Oberheim, but I've always heard that's a pretty intricate instrument. Isn't there still one in the studio at Paisley Park? That's a good question. I don't know. Can someone help us out and let us know if there's still one there? Another thing that's actually mentioned in this particular chapter is how Susan Rogers is kind of, she offers some comments about Wonderful Ass in this book. And on page 20, Duane writes, by the time Susan Rogers, joined the Prince camp in the summer of 1983, the song was sitting on the shelf, and she had doubts about what was planned for the track. And this is Susan speaking, I don't think he ever intended to release that. It was more like a song that was fun to write and sing. And then that goes back to it being a gift for vanity, right? That makes sense. And then he goes on to write, the tune is a solo venture featuring keyboards of a Lindrum pattern and appears to contain no outside help, at least for the basic recording, although those around him didn't imagine him placing it on a Prince album. So that kind of goes back to what you were talking about, Michael, like just because back then, radio was a different universe in terms of what was allowed to be played on air and not. And it does have, like you said, Michael, he writes, it might have been considered for the time because, of the Morris Day impression at the end. And
it would have been a great B-side too, then I think about it.
Yeah. So actually, Lee Christian has a paperback of that Jake Brown book, and he said that the copyright is actually 2010. So yeah, thank you for that. All right.
Check that out. Absolutely.
Yes. So, anything else you want to talk about in this? There's actually so much in this particular chapter. Duane talks about Dez and so let's actually talk about Dez, because some of the Dez stuff I think is interesting. Starting on page 21, Duane writes, a shorthand developed very quickly between Dickerson and Prince. Originally, Prince wanted to be a black version of the Rolling Stones. His Mick to my Keith. I find that kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it says Prince relied on Dickerson to write lyrics to songs like Cool and to add his signature guitar work to his breakthrough hit Little Red Corvette. Then on the next page, it's, basically Dez left the band because he was beginning to have, because Dez is a Christian and he was beginning to have some problems with the heavy sexuality that was coming out in the lyrics, is one of the reasons why Dez left. And Dez also has a book. And I have it, but it's in the other room. And if someone can give me the name and the date of Dez's book in the chat, you'll be my best friend. This is an interactive, collaborative book club. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really want to read this paragraph on page 22 where Dez talks about Prince's work ethic, because this is a recurring theme. If you talk to anyone who was in Prince's camp, this is very, very consistent. While Dickerson maintained his friendship with Prince, he started distancing himself from him professionally. Prince was well known for holding 3 to 4 hour sound checks, and Dez grew tired of them and wanted out. So that one might be another reason why Dez wanted out, just from the sheer exhaustion of playing every single day, all day, every day. And this is Dez speaking here. I came from a background where I was always the guy cracking the whip on the rest of the band to try to drag everybody else along. Come on, we got to get better. We got to work harder. This was the first time I had been in a situation where there was actually somebody who was more of a maniac than I was, and it had reached a point where we worked so hard at it that it stopped being fun after a few years. All right. So that is a couple of reasons why Des probably left. So
Can I add something to that? Or are you
yeah,
going to?
no, go ahead.
Just I was going to ask the question: was Daz? Was he the first sort of Prince band member to drop a book? It seemed like I think his was the first.
I want to say he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, we've had Daz on the show before, and reading his book, and but just reading this the other day, getting ready for this, and maybe because I'm a little older, I actually really respect the decision he made. What I've loved to see him still been with Prince. And at the time, I kind of was like, why would you want to leave something like that? But looking at the way he states it in the book here, in terms of, he just kind of wasn't sitting right with his spirit, essentially. The themes that they were talking about, I think he makes mention in the book, like I seen like a little parent or somebody brought their little kid or younger child to the show, and I'm here talking about sister and all this, and he was like, he thought, would I want my kid to be in something? And just the fact that I'm the one saying it, I can respect him being able to be like, you know what, maybe this ain't for me. And I respect a lot about Prince, the way they describe the way Prince. I think he came to Prince and said, yo, can I just show up essentially to the venue for the sound check, make sure my stuff sound good, and then dip? And Prince seamlessly, yeah, no problem. And allowing him to have that grace, and he still comes in and fulfills his duties and does the show. But I thought both of them, it seemed like just from the surface reading these books, that they both handled it like gentlemen, even though Dez was like, I'm out. And he didn't come out and like talk crazy about Prince. Though that wasn't the thing people did back then, but I still, even to this day, he always showed him respect. And man, I think Dez he's underrated in terms of in the Prince community, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I got to really salute him, man, because that was some stand-up stuff that he did. He stood on principle for what he deemed his principles, and was just like, I think I'm gonna dip out. And he became the millionaire. So salute to Dez. That's all I want to say.
So thank you, Stephanie. So the name of Dez's book is My Time with Prince. Stephanie, can you give me a date on when that book was released? Yeah. And because I do know that someone wrote this in the chat, if I can find it. Yeah, so Roseanne shared that Dez dropped this when Prince was alive as well, which I think is awesome, meaning like, he wasn't, like he was sincere, I think, in dropping his book. And yeah, I love this quote from El DeBarra, similar to Andre Simone, both were straight up with Prince and parted ways amicably. So Dez's book was written in 2003. So quite a while back. And
yeah. And the fact that Dez, he was a real contributor to some classics like, Little Red Corvette, some of the Time stuff. I mean, like he was doing stuff where Prince wasn't just the band members showing up, like they was creating together. So that's what I say, you got to tip your hat to Daz. He was one of the day one original people that was actually contributing, putting in work, had his signature style. Like, yeah, man, that's that guy, man.
Yep. So this is what we only have roughly 16 minutes left, and I really want to discuss the end of the chapter. In fact, I almost have the entire end marked up. So I'm going to read a bit, and then we're going to talk a little bit, and then read a bit and talk a little bit more. So Prince regrouped the bands near the end of the month to restructure the shows. Why was he restructuring the shows, Michael Dean?
Well, you see, I think it might have been because of the time. You know what I'm saying? Them brothers. Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Don't
So
do that.
Prince was regrouping the bands. Prince removed, this is blasphemous for me. He removed Automatic, A-U-T-O-Matic. I don't know why, and while Sexuality and Let's Pretend We're Married were added to the set on occasion. During the first leg of the tour, Little Red Corvette was played sporadically, often as the third track of the show, but by early December, it had been removed from the set list completely because it wasn't a hit yet from the video. So Duane goes on to start talking about the release of the Little Red Corvette video on MTV. And we'll stop there. So, well, let me go ahead and read so I can stop reading. So over the last 3 years, Prince had created 6 videos, but they were simply variations of performances. But I actually loved all those videos of essentially Prince in concert. I don't know, it's something about them. And didn't Bob Gowers did some, I think I saw that he recently passed. Bob Gowers is the director that directed a lot of the videos for 1999.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, and I think it was like this week, but I need to look that up because I was meaning to look that up, but I didn't have an opportunity to do so. So I love this quote from Monte Moria from the Time. And he says, he being Prince, has an aura about him. And when he walks in the room, you feel it. And if he walks on stage, when he used to come up and jam with us or something, it is like the whole stage lifts up about 1.5 feet because there's something going on with him that's not the normal human being walking around. He's one of the few people I'd say is truly a genius. So I think that is Bruce Gowers. Thank you, Blade Brown, Bruce Gowers. I think I said Bob Gowers. My apologies. Simon Stone says, I wish he had some different videos. Can you say a little bit more? Meaning that I guess you didn't like the concert style videos. So Roseanne also said we got some awesome videos.
And this was early in the video game too. Like,
oh, mad early. Yeah.
Of course, MJ came in and was like, hold my drink. Let me show y'all what's going on. And that changes the game. But.
Yes. And Celie is talking about that. You know, MJ's Thriller is what made a lot of folks change how they made videos. I love Prince's performance videos because he was selling his musicianship and showmanship. And yes, Simon is saying that I wish he had some video concepts. And Blade Brown, I hope we get that Second Coming doc short someday as well. That's actually part of my holy grail. I would love. That's what we want. We want some of that. Yeah, I would die for that. Let's see, like other side of the videos that had a loose plot or something. No, I hear you. I hear you. But I personally was fine with the performances.
And Prince, at least to me at that point, himself was such a thing to look at and to admire. Like you had never seen anything like that. So to me, it was like, as much as I would have loved to see those other videos, he was the attraction to me. Like, you know, Little Red Corvette is a simple video, but the first time seeing him and then that just the shininess of his jacket and his hair and just the way it was lit and then the dancing and all that, I was a head buster, man. I was like, whoa, this guy's, I ain't never seen nothing like that. Who's this brother? You know, so I think his early videos were great for what they were supposed to be. Like he was like Monty said, it was an otherworldly sort of presence, and they show on those videos, like his stage presence and his mannerisms and the style. Like it's like, whoa, this is different.
So I'm gonna share my screen again. Let's see, stop sharing. So Bruce Gowers actually did pass this year on January 15th of 2023. So not that long ago. So rest in peace to Bruce Gowers. I don't know why I keep wanting to call him Bob Gowers, because he actually did record some of my very favorite videos. And I'm going to go to the Bible, which is Prince Vault. And let me share the screen. Hold on, let me remove that because it's actually I didn't share it right because Streamheart it will make it here we go. Skewed. All right, so this is Prince Vault, princevault.com. Highly recommended if you don't know about Prince Vault for all of your information. So I'm trying to go back. I know that he did 1999. He also did Sexuality. He also directed Controversy. I don't think he did. Need information on that one. So he definitely did Controversy and Sexuality. He also did 1999. So we got Bruce Gowers. He also did Little Red Corvette, I think. No, Brian Greenberg did that one. And he definitely did AUTO-matic. He also directed Let's Pretend We're Married.
Wow.
And I don't think he didn't. Yeah, Larry Williams did that one. So Bruce Gowers is really important to Prince's videography, and I was really saddened to hear that he had passed on January 15th. All right, welcome, Zaire. So great to have you here. I love this quote. His facial expressions alone in those video performances gesture at the ways he did not just perform, but embody his music. So that's, what's really great about Prince Live for me is that all of the, the hand gestures, when he's brushing his teeth and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, and the side eyes and the looks and the everything. And you're going to hear me talk about this a lot because I just love Prince's smoke during this particular period. Like, watching Sexuality, like it was tons of smoke. Let's Pretend We're Married, Smoke Central, just like smoke. And when I think of Prince, I really think of Prince during this particular era, and more specifically, like Alan Bolio's photography, because in his book Before the Rain, he talks about how Prince had kind of given him the charge of using Blade Runner as the Blade Runner film as sort of a reference for the visual look. And I thought Alan Bolio really carried that through really greatly. So let's see what else is going on in here. So Roseanne wrote, 1999 was so polished in comparison to his past videos. His curls were luscious. I love that. And I love Kim's comment of Prince videos selling concert tickets. I think that's also really important. Let's see what Ron Nicola says. What you get in those early vids is that he absolutely knew how to play the camera. He used the medium well to show off his extraordinariness. Extraordinary. I can't say that. This is a really great point, Roseanne. It was good move for him to highlight his musicianship in those early videos, because I've read and I've heard people who still don't believe that Prince is a musician and that they thought that he was just like air guitaring and Purple Rain and stuff like that. So like that's got to stop, because Prince.
That's crazy.
Yes.
One thing about these videos, I didn't think about it. The time, was it the video for Cool? Is that the one they're in the classroom? Is that Cool?
I think that was Cool. I think
it's interesting that they have a more traditional video production value than Prince. Didn't have videos like that at that time. His was just strictly performances. So it's funny that even early on they had, and this is off their first album, their video was like a production type of thing. But then when you go back to, didn't they have a video for The Walk, or there's a video for one of the songs on the second album, and it's a performance video on stage. But my point was to say, you can see the difference. So when the comparisons where they both do the performance videos, like somebody brought up earlier, Prince's performance is just on a whole other level, playing toward the camera, than I think that Morris's was at that time, if I'm not mistaken, even though they have very similar videos then. But the other point was to say it is interesting that the time had a full-on production type video too, before Prince.
Yeah. And I mean, actually, when it was, I can't remember, my short-term memory is so bad. When Simon Stone was talking about him wishing that Prince had more conceptual videos, I really do think that, I guess I'm thinking, I was going to say Vanity 6, but it's really the Apollonia 6, like that unreleased Apollonia 6 video EP. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
I think that's where he was really trying to push it. And then obviously if the Second Coming would have been released the way that he wanted to, it was essentially a template for Purple Rain, because there were essentially like narrative vignettes that was going to be interspersed between concert footage. It's just that, with Purple Rain, the film, the concert footage was integrated a little bit more into the film.
Early Sign of the Times movie.
Yes, Early Sign of the Times, definitely. So basically there's a pattern, right? So like if you think about the concept of the Second Coming and you compare that to the film Purple Rain, if you compare that to Sign of the Times Live, he had a template, and I thought it was a really great one. So the Drive Me Wild video, Kim, I'm glad that you're bringing this up. Is a really interesting video, especially the dance party at the end. And, obviously Susan is the lead. We talked about Drive Me Wild during last week. And also, yes, thank you, Lee Christian, the short Madhouse movie. And then, obviously, yeah, we got another Stone Freak. I love the Drive Me Wild video. Yeah, the Drive Me Wild video is really awesome. I mean, one thing that I loved, and we only have three minutes, about the Triple Threat Tour. So I saw the Triple Threat Tour in Birmingham, Alabama. And what I remember most about that tour was the backdrop of Vanity 6, which was the pink, which I have on my Vanity 6 today, was the pink backdrop with the fishnet on top of the pink backdrop. Like that, when I think of the tour, that's actually the first image that actually comes to mind. Yep.
Well, we can't leave this without mentioning Wendy, like in terms of that last part of the book pages we were reading.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it basically really gives a quick synopsis story of Wendy joining the band, sort of hanging out, being on the road at the 1999 tour, not as a band member, but there as a friend to Lisa. And they made the comment of Prince hearing somebody playing guitar. And I guess they were at the hotel or something. He heard somebody inside Lisa's room playing. He's like knocking on the door, like, who was that? So that's my homegirl, Wendy. And just the fact that they start playing together and that he's just almost like opening up, okay, come and hang out, come and be here. I'm gonna pay you to be on the road with us just to like get your education, kind of get your, let's click up. And I just thought that was so cool. Like, cause I don't know how old Wendy was at this point. She had to be very young.
She was in her teen. She was a teen.
Wow. And like Prince heard something and was like, yo, she gonna be the next one. And let me mentor, come on, hang out, be a part of the crew. I just think that is so dope. I mean, she goes on to become a huge part of that band, but just the way that she got into it and that Prince was open to that, to me, that just blows my mind. Like stories like that. And somebody said she's 19. That's crazy. And that she was obviously that good for somebody like Prince to like, wait a minute. She's kind of funky.
Yeah. So we want to welcome Ruth is in the house. Thank you so much, Ruth, for being here. I really do appreciate it. And I want to tell you, Ruth, why I'm doing this one. I really love Duane's book because they focus on Prince in the studio. And the reason why I really wanted to do this year, it was important that I do this year, is because we're having the Triple Threat Symposium at the end of March. And the Triple Threat Symposium is going to celebrate 3 albums, 1999, Vanity 6, and What Time Is It? And Duane's first book not only covers Purple Rain, but it also covers 1999, which is more important to me personally, because 1999 was my first Prince tour. And it was really important for me to do like a deeper dive on 1999, because I don't think that 1999 gets talked about enough. So that's the reason why I'm doing the symposium. And more specifically, I don't think that the era gets talked about enough, especially what I call post-Prince, because we aren't talking enough about Vanity 6 as well as What Time Is It, which are 2 very stellar albums. And I'm going to get more into that next week because we're already over about a minute. One thing we're going to do is we're going to end these at the top of the hour because we could go on and on and on and on. So hopefully you'll come back next week when we basically do like a recap of January of 1983. And we're going to get deeper into some of the stuff that we've been talking about, because the time really goes by super fast. And so I got some, can't wait for the symposiums out there. Thank you so much. I'll see everybody next week. But let me see what El DeBar is talking about. Is it just me, or does anybody else notice the amount of Prince guitar reaction videos on YouTube? Glad to see the recognition. Yes, I think that is really fantastic to see those. And then unrelated, we have to do this for Ricky. Happy Mad Day release January 21st, 1987. Thank you so much for that, Ricky. All right, and this is a good one to end on. Yes, the symposium will be live. All right, thank you, Michael Dean, and we out.
See you.